Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm gonna try to explain the entire season 1 of the Telltale Walking Dead game in under 16 minutes or close to 15 minutes, whatever sounds nicer. And I never made a video like this before, so I do apologize for how it turned out, but I think it turned out pretty good. I'm gonna be going really fast, and I'm gonna be skipping a lot of stuff, but I'm not gonna be skipping anything important per se. So without further ado, please enjoy this video. We start our story with a man called Lee Everett, and he's going to jail for killing his wife's affair partner. The old officer driving us to jail is too busy yapping instead of watching the road, and he hits a zombie crashing the car. A few hours later, we wake up and fight off the now zombified officer, but we have a busted leg. More zombies show up and we have to run to a nearby house. Inside the house, we get attacked by another zombie, but we get saved by a little girl called Clementine, and we decide to leave the house. We meet two other survivors, and one of them offers us a place to stay. We go to the kid's farm, and his dad helps Lee with his leg. The next day, we meet Kenny and his family, Katja and Ken Jr. His nickname is Duck, though, so everybody refers to him as Duck. And we help around the farm. But Duck and the farmer's kid get attacked, and the farmer's son dies. Enraged, the dad kicks us out, and we all head to Macon. At Macon, we get attacked by zombies, but get saved by survivors hiding in the pharmacy. Their names are Glenn, Carly, Doug, Lily, and Larry. The loudmouth Larry tries to convince everybody that Doug is bitten, and he gets a heart attack because he got too worked up. So we need to get him medicine. We need to find the keys to the back door so we can get the medicine for Larry, and Glenn decides to go out and find some fuel so we can all leave downtown Macon and taste one of Clinton's walkie-talkies. In the back room, Carly confronts us and she tells us she knows who we are because she's a reporter, but decides to keep to herself. Glenn calls for help later with the walkie-talkie, and we leave with Carly to go help him. At the motor inn, we meet up with Glenn, and he tells us there is a survivor stuck in one of the rooms, and we save her. But the girl is bitten, and she knows how the infection works. She says you get bitten, and then you become one of them, and she wishes to off herself because she doesn't want to become one of them. And she grabs a gun, and that's the thing. But the noise attracts more zombies, and they all have to leave. We find the keys, and Lee opens the back door, but it's set with an alarm and it goes off and alerts all the zombies around the area. As we're trying to hold off the walkers so everybody can escape, Doug and Carly get attacked at the same time, but we can only save one. We choose to save Carly, and Doug dies. As we're trying to escape, we get sucker punched by Larry, but the boy Kenny decides to help us out. At the motor inn, we talk to Larry of what happened, and he tells us that he knows who we are, and that we better make sure that we don't do anything to endanger the group or else he's gonna tell everybody. Then we talk to Kenny and Lily, and they honestly think it's all gonna be alright, but all the lights go off, indicating that it's not gonna be okay. Episode 2. 3 months later. The guys go out hunting with a new guy called Mark who joined the group because he had food to share, but that food is running out. While walking in the woods, Lee hears somebody screaming and they find a teacher sitting in a bear trap with two teenagers trying to help. The teacher's David, one of the kids is Travis, and the other one is Ben. In this scenario, we have to save the teacher by chopping off his foot, but if you fail to do so, we bring back Travis because he tried to wrestle Mark for his gun, and he gets shot. Back in the camp, Ben joins the group, and Katja tries to do whatever she can to save whoever we brought back. Later, we talk to Katja saying that she couldn't save whoever we brought back, but suddenly she gets attacked by the reanimated David or Travis depending on who you choose. They get taken care of, and Ben tells everybody that everybody turns regardless of what happens to them unless if the brain is destroyed. While everybody's arguing, two strangers show up, wanting to borrow for fuel for food. Mark, Carly, Ben, and Lee go with the two brothers to the dairy farm. On the way to the dairy, we encounter some bandits who are very violent, and we are informed that they have given everybody except them problems in the past. At the dairy, the group see how safe it is and decides to bring everybody back. Carl and Ben go to get the others, while Lee and Mark decide to stay back and help around. One of the brothers suggests that Lee and Mark go around the perimeter of the farm to make sure there is no infected stuck on the fence, and they do so. While patrolling the outside fence, Lee and Mark get attacked by the same bandits that they saw earlier, saying that they were screwed over by the farm people. At the farm, everybody except a couple of people arrive, and they see Mark injured. The St. John missus decides to take care of Mark park, and one of the St. John brothers says I need to go off and get revenge for the attack they just witnessed. We set off with one of the St. John brothers and we find a camp. In the camp, we find a camcorder and Clementine's hat. The crazy lady comes down and tries to warn us about the dairy, but she keeps talking crazy. We shoot her and go back. At the dairy, Kenny and Lily are arguing with each other. Kenny thinks there is something wrong with this place, but Lily doesn't want to offend them. We talk to Kenny and he thinks there's something wrong in the barn and they need to investigate it. Lee investigates and he's able to get into the back of the barn. And in the back of the barn is a very, very creepy meat processing location, and he gets caught by one of the brothers. And he just simply passes it off as this is where we dissect all the meat we capture. We go in for dinner and we sneak out to wash our ham, and we discover Mark with the missing leg, and it turns out the farmers are cannibals. We quickly run downstairs to inform everybody of what the St. Johns really are, and they instantly confess. But because they are armed, they take us prisoners, and when we wake up, everybody except Katja and Duck are stuck in the back of the butchery, and Larry gets another heart attack. We try saving him, but Kenny kills him. We get out and we see one of the brothers guarding the barn, and we don't have to, but we chose to because they don't really deserve to live. Then we save Katja from the crazy mother with the help of Zombie Mark, and in front of everybody, we deal with the last brother. Heading back to the inn, we stumble across a car and it's filled with supplies food. We take it and Carly finds batteries for the camcorder, and it was of the crazy lady stalking the camp. She warns us to be more cautious of people instead of the dead. Episode 3. Kenny and Lee head back to the pharmacy to get supplies. Kenny thinks it's time to leave the motor inn, but Lily wants to stay. They are able to get enough supplies but barely escape. Back at the camp, Lily is concerned that somebody is stealing from the group, and Carly tells Lee that he should tell everybody about his past. He does, but nobody's really concerned about the past. We get back to Lily and investigate the missing supply with Doug's help, and it turns out Lily was correct. We inform her, but the motor gets attacked by the same bandits from the last episode. We fight them off, but all the noise draws in the walkers, and Katja and Doug get hurt. Everybody managed to escape. In the RV, Lily suspects Carly of Ben to be working with the bandits, and she's really paranoid. Kenny hits a walker and everybody gets out. After arguing who did it, Carly gets under Lily's skin and she shoots her. So we are stuck with two choices. We can either leave Lily behind or bring her along with us. I went with the leave Lily behind. If you chose the other one, Lily would have taken the RV, but it wouldn't matter. Regardless of whatever choice you make, Lily's out of the group. In the RV, Kenny tells Duck is bitten and they're not sure how to handle it. We drive all night, and in the morning we come across a train and get it running. We meet Chuck and he decides to come along. While in the train, Katja informs us that Duck is finally turning and we need to get Kenny. We get Kenny, but he is in extreme denial that Duck is gonna be okay. But he decides to face reality and stops the train car and goes to Katja so they can say goodbye to Duck. He and Katja goes into the woods to deal with Duck, but Katja ends herself and Kenny has to deal with Duck. But Lee steps up and does it for him. Back in the train, Chuck tells we really need to ready Clem up for this world or she'll end up like Duck, and suggests we make a plan, cut her hair, and teach her how to use a gun. When we are walking back, Ben reveals he was the one working with the bandits. After teaching Clem how to use a gun, cutting her hair, we decide to look for her parents. We suddenly stop because the roads are blocked by a fuel tanker. When we step back to look at the situation, we meet two new people, Omid and Krista. With Omid's help, we cut the tanker off and a horror zombie approaches. While escaping, Omid injures his leg. Later, while Lee and Kenny are talking, Clem's walkie suddenly turns on and a strange man starts talking, claiming that he has Clem's parents. Episode 4. It's the next day and we get to Savannah. While walking in the streets of Savannah, a bell goes off and we get a warning from the man in the walkie-talkie. Then we get overrun by walkers. During this time, Clem and Ben are together, but Ben doesn't do anything to protect Clementine. So Chuck steps in and saves her, but we have to leave him behind because there are too many walkers to fight off. We find a secure house and we use it as a base. While inside, Clementine tells us the man in the radio is her friend, but we warn her he is not a friend. Upstairs, Kenny finds a walker kid that looks like Duck, and Lee takes care of him and gives him a proper burial. But outside, we see a strange man watching us. Kenny wants to go look for a boat, so he heads out with Lee to go look for one. But when they reach the river, they don't find any, and the ones they do find are destroyed. Then they meet a girl named Molly, and she tells what happened to Savannah after the outbreak. She said a group of survivors started a community called Crawford, but they're very extreme. They have a zero tolerance policy for anybody who won't or can't live by the rules. Also, in their community, no children, elderly, or anybody with a medical condition, basically anybody with a burden, are not accepted into the community. While talking, another group of walkers shows up and Lee gets left behind and he escapes through the sewers. In the sewers, Lee finds where Chuck ended up and he is no longer with us. Also, somewhere around the sewers, Lee finds another community of, how would you say this? Of people with liabilities. And there's only really two people you really need to worry about. There's Vernon, their leader, and this other girl called Bree. Bree is super hostile to Lee, but Vernon is a reasonable man and he helps us to get back to our group. Back at the base, the group has lost hope. Omi needs medical attention, and since there's no boat, Kenny just gave up. But Clementine finds a boat in the garage in the backyard of their house they're staying in. After Kenny inspects the boat that Clementine found, he says that we need a new battery and we need gasoline. And also, we need medicine, so we decide to go for Crawford. At midnight, with the help of Vernon, we sneaked into Crawford, but the place is overrun with walkers. We can get inside the school and we get to work getting the supplies. Molly and Lee go and look for a battery. Bree and Kenny go get the fuel, and Krista and Vernon go get the medicine. While Ben and Clementine decide to stay back and open an armory door. With Molly's help, we get the battery. Bree and Kenny get the fuel, but walkers follow them and Lee closes the entrance. Vernon and Krista get the medicine with Lee's help. While searching, we learn what happened to Crawford, and we also learn why Molly hates the place. It turns out Molly and her sister used to live in Crawford, but the sister had diabetes and she was labeled a liability. While heading back to the group, we find Ben and he made a humongous mistake. He unprised the door that we pried earlier, when Kenny and Bree were getting chased by walkers, and a bunch of walkers get in. As the group gets ready to leave, Ben decides to confess everything at the worst time, causing a small fight, losing precious time we don't have. Walkers bust in and Bree gets eaten. We leave through the bell tower, but Ben gets caught and at the house, Omi gets treated and Vernon tells off Lee and he suggests that he should take Clementine. But we threaten him and advise him to leave, which he does. Clementine asks if we can go look for her parents, but Lee lies to her and she sees through the lie. The next day, Lee can't find Clementine, and while looking, Lee gets bitten. He tells the group you were bitten, and Vernon kidnapped Clementine, so everybody goes to Vernon's bunker. It turns out everybody has left, and the strange man says that he has Clementine as a horde of walkers comes to town. The last episodes. As the walkers block off the way you arrive, Lee finds another way to get out, but faints because of the bite. Kaden suggests we cut off Lee's arm so it will stop the infection, but I decline. And honestly, if you decide to keep the arm or chop it off, Lee is gonna turn. The only difference is if you chop off the arm, Lee is not gonna faint. But it doesn't really affect much. Well, anyways, back to the story. We get back to the house and we see that the boat is stolen and it was done by Vernon's group. While we get inside, we see that the door is open and a horde of zombies get inside the house. We escape to the attic, but we are stuck. But luckily, the walls are rotted and they escape by breaking through the walls and going to the next house, and they decide to make their way to the Marsh house. On the way, Kenny bumps into Lee and he drops the walkie-talkie into a pit and Krista goes for it, but she gets stuck and Kenny saves her. But we can't save Kenny, so we leave him behind. We get to River Street where the Marsh house is, and we cross a rickety sign and get separated from Omi and Krista, and we go on our own. Lee fights off the walkers and sees a familiar car. Inside the Marsh house, we find Clementine, but the stranger is there. He tells us the whole life story after we stole from him and how he lost his family and all that stuff, and he wanted revenge, but he now wants to take Clementine. But with Clementine's self, we can fight him off, and we yeah, well, he's not a problem anymore. As we're about to leave, we encounter a walker, but he doesn't do anything to us. And they learn about walker camouflage. By rubbing yourself with walker blood and intestines, you can cover your smell and they won't bother you if you play the part. Outside, we find Clementine's parents and Lee faints again. We wake up inside of a jewelry store, and in there, we know that Lee doesn't have much time left. So he teaches Clementine all he knows about problem solving, the stuff he did throughout the entire game. And she finds a way out. In this part of the game, we can either kill Lee so he doesn't become a walker, or let him turn and spare Clementine from the action of killing him. I chose the action where we leave Lee alone, but the most popular option is killing Lee so he doesn't become a walker. Before Clementine leaves, Lee tells her to always keep moving. After the game credits, we see Clementine in the field and we see two strangers spotting her. You don't really know what it is, but I mean, it's Omi and Krista, and the game ends. And there's also a little like side game called 400 Days Later. All it does is introduce characters you will see next episode, but the only thing is, only one character really matters, and her name is Bonnie. And we also get to learn what happens to Vernon's group. After they stole the boat, it just kind of went all downhill, and they lost Vernon. And yeah, that's the entire season 1 Walking Dead Telltale game.